Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. My name is Todd David Goldfinger, and here are today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. The mass killing that left 6 people dead and 12 wounded outside bars just blocks from California's capital last weekend was a gunfight involving at least 5 shooters from rival gangs. Sacramento police said Wednesday. Police said they identified at least 5 gunmen, but there may have been more. Only 2 suspects, both brothers, wounded by gunfire, have been arrested in connection with the shooting and so far only face firearms charges. In quotes, "We're still working through who the actual shooters are in the case," Sergeant Zach Eaton said. Until Wednesday's announcement, police had been silent on what led to the shooting that erupted early Sunday as bars were letting out. Rapid-fire bursts of over 100 gunshots echoed through the streets as terrified patrons ran for their lives and others were hit by bullets. Next news. Minnesota prosecutors declined to file charges Wednesday against a Minneapolis police SWAT team officer who fatally shot Amir Locke while executing an early morning no-knock search warrant in a downtown apartment in February. Locke, 22 years old, who was black, was staying on a couch in his cousin's apartment when authorities entered it on February 2nd without knocking as part of an investigation into a homicide in neighboring St. Paul. Prosecutors said body camera video showed that Locke pointed a gun at Officer Mark Hanneman, justifying his use of deadly force. Locke's family had disputed that, arguing that the footage suggests Locke was startled awake and that he grabbed for a gun he was licensed to carry. Locke's mother, Karen Wells, said she was disgusted by the decision. At a news conference in New York with attorney Ben Crump and civil rights leader the Reverend Al Sharpton, she vowed to keep up pressure on Minneapolis city leaders and spoke directly to Hanneman. Next news. A federal judge on Wednesday acquitted a New Mexico man of misdemeanor charges that he illegally entered the U.S. Capitol and engaged in disorderly conduct after he walked into the building during last year's riot. U.S. District Judge Trevor McFadden issued the verdict from the bench after hearing testimony without a jury in the case against Matthew Martin. McFadden, who was nominated by former President Donald Trump, acquitted Martin of all 4 counts for which he was charged. McFadden said it was reasonable for Martin to believe that outnumbered police officers allowed him and others to enter the Capitol through the rotunda doors on January 6, 2021. The judge also said Martin's actions were about as minimal and non-serious, in quotes, as anyone who was at the Capitol that day. Next news. Governor Gretchen Whitmer sued Thursday to protect abortion rights, asking a Michigan court to recognize a right to abortion under the state constitution and to overturn a 176-year-old ban in the state that may take effect if the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling is vacated. The Democratic governor's preemptive lawsuit, which was filed in Oakland County against prosecutors in 13 counties with an abortion clinic, came as the U.S. Supreme Court's conservative majority considers allowing states to ban abortion much earlier in pregnancy and potentially overturning the right. Planned Parenthood of Michigan and its chief medical officer filed a similar suit in the state court of claims to block enforcement of the 1931 law, which dates to a 1846 ban. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has tested positive for COVID-19 a day after appearing unmasked at a White House event with President Joe Biden. Pelosi received a positive test result for COVID-19 and is currently asymptomatic. Her spokesman, Drew Hamill, said Thursday in a tweet. He said she had tested negative earlier in the week. In quotes, the speaker is fully vaccinated and boosted and is thankful for the robust protection the vaccine has provided. In quotes, Hamill said. Pelosi will quarantine consistent with CDC guidance and encourages everyone to get vaccinated, boosted, and test regularly, end quotes, he said. The 82-year-old Democratic leader's announcement came ahead of her weekly press appearance on Capitol Hill. The House is set to start a 2-week spring recess. Next news! A Congressional Oversight Committee on Thursday said the Justice Department is obstructing its investigation into former President Donald Trump's handling of White House records by preventing the release of information from the National Archives. The House Committee on Oversight and Reform sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland accusing the Justice Department of impeding the panel's expanded investigation into the 15 boxes of White House records that Trump took to his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida after leaving office last year. The archives in February revealed it had found classified material in the boxes and referred the matter to the Justice Department. The letter from Representative Carolyn Maloney, Democrat from New York, the chairwoman of the Oversight Committee, outlines communications between the city and the National Archives that took place between February to late March. Next news. The Senate is expected to confirm Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson on Thursday, securing her place as the first Black woman on the High Court and giving President Joe Biden a bipartisan endorsement for his historic pick. 3 Republican senators have said they will support Jackson, who would replace Justice Stephen Breyer when he retires this summer. While the vote will be far from the overwhelming bipartisan confirmations for Breyer and other justices in decades past, it will still be a significant bipartisan accomplishment for Biden in the narrow 50-50 Senate after GOP senators aggressively worked to paint Jackson as too liberal and soft on crime. Next news. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says more government regulation is needed to police the proliferation of cryptocurrency and other digital assets and to ward off fraudulent and illicit transactions. In practice, one result would be that users would get documentation of their crypto dealings for use in filing their taxes. In quotes, taxpayers should receive the same type of tax reporting on digital asset transactions that they receive for transactions in stocks and bonds. So they have the information they need to report their income to the IRS, end quotes. Yellen said in remarks prepared for delivery Thursday at American University. It was to be Yellen's first speech about cryptocurrency since President Joe Biden signed an executive order on digital assets in March. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. States with some of the nation's strictest abortion laws are also some of the hardest places to have and raise a healthy child, especially for the poor, according to an analysis of federal data by the Associated Press. The findings raise questions about the strength of the social safety net as those states are poised to further restrict or even ban abortion access following an expected U.S. Supreme Court decision later this year. The burden is likely to fall heaviest on those with low incomes, who are the least able to seek an abortion in another state where the procedure remains widely available. Mississippi has the nation's largest share of children living in poverty and babies with low birth weights, according to the 2019 data from the U.S. Census Bureau and the Centers for Disease Control. The latest available. Texas has the highest rate of women receiving no prenatal care during their first trimester and ranks second worst for the proportion of children in poverty who are uninsured, the data show. Next news. The Biden administration moved Thursday to choke off U.S. exports to 3 Russian airlines as part of what officials described as an unprecedented enforcement action. The Commerce Department said the move would prevent the airlines' Russian national flag carrier Aeroflot, Utair, and Azur Air from receiving items from the U.S., including parts to service their lovely aircraft. In quotes, those restrictions are significant because it's obviously difficult to keep flying if you can't service your planes. End quotes. Matthew Axelrod, an assistant commerce secretary for export enforcement, told reporters. The effect, he said, is that the sanctioned airlines, like Aeroflot, in quotes, and their fleet of aircraft will over time largely be unable to continue flying, either internationally or domestically, as they are now cut off from the international support and the U.S. parts and related services they need to maintain and support their fleets. End quotes. Next news. Former Trump advisors Peter Navarro and Dan Scavino were held in contempt of Congress for their month-long refusal to comply with subpoenas rendered by the House Committee's investigation into the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The 2 men on Wednesday became the latest members of the former President Donald Trump's inner circle to face legal jeopardy as the Select Committee continues its more than 9-month-long probe into the worst attack on the Capitol in more than 200 years. The near party line 220 to 203 votes will send the criminal referrals to Navarro and Scavino to the Justice Department for possible prosecution. The contempt action followed hours of raw debate on the House floor as Republicans stood by Trump and charged that Democrats were trying to politicize the attack on the Capitol by his supporters. Next news. Several witnesses sought by the January 6th committee investigating the insurrection at the Capitol are being held in contempt of Congress for failing to cooperate with the probe of the deadly 2021 attack when Donald J. Trump supporters tried to stop the certification of Joe Biden's election. All of those facing contempt were in Trump's inner circle and are defying subpoenas or are refusing to cooperate, setting up a constitutional showdown on the ability of Congress to conduct oversight. The House votes to hold the witnesses in contempt do not carry the force of prosecution, but they serve as referrals to the Department of Justice to consider charges. So far, the Justice Department has issued one indictment. We're going to take a short break from the daily English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's a continuation of today's top stories. Thanks for being with us. More than 2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic, U.S. health officials are beginning to grapple with how to keep the vaccines updated to best protect Americans from the ever-changing coronavirus. On Wednesday, a panel of vaccine advisors to the Food and Drug Administration spent hours debating key questions for revamping the shots and conducting future booster campaigns. They didn't reach any firm conclusions. The questions facing the experts included how often to update the vaccines against the new strains, how effectively they should be to warrant approval, and whether updates should be coordinated with global health authorities. Last week, the FDA authorized a fourth dose of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines for anyone 50 or older, and for some younger people with severely weakened immune systems. It's an effort to get ahead of another possible surge. Next news! Nursing home residents are subjected to ineffective care and poor staffing, while facility finances are shrouded in secrecy and regulatory lapses go unenforced, according to a report Wednesday that called for wholesale changes in an industry whose failures have been spotlighted by the pandemic. To anyone who saw the scourge of COVID-19 on the country's most vulnerable, the findings of the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine might be sobering but unsurprising, as the long-term care system's inadequacies were made plain by more than 150,000 resident deaths. The authors of the 605-page report insist it could be an impetus to address issues that have gotten little more than lip service for decades. Next news. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser said Thursday that she tested positive for COVID-19 and would, in quotes, work at home while following isolation protocols. In a series of messages posted to Twitter, Bowser said she took an at-home test Wednesday after developing cold-like symptoms. She later confirmed those positive results with a PCR test, which is more precise. Bowser, 49 years old, was elected mayor in 2014 and will be running for a third term later this year. Her older sister, Mercia, died of COVID-19 complications in February of 2021 at the age of 64. Bowser's positive test comes amid a mini outbreak in a high-level Washington political circle following Saturday night's Gridiron Club dinner. More than a dozen guests who attended the A-list event, including 2 cabinet members, journalists, and multiple members of Congress, have tested positive this week. Next news. The European Union is poised to ban Russian coal in the first sanctions on the vital energy industry over the war in Ukraine. But it has underlined the 27 nations' inability to agree on a much more sweeping embargo on oil and natural gas that would hit Russia harder but risk recession at home in the EU. The coal ban, expected to be approved in a new package of sanctions this week, would cost Russia 4 billion euros. That is $4.4 billion in US a year. The EU's Executive Commission said energy analysts and coal importers say Europe could replace Russian supply in a few months from other countries, including the US. The move is significant because it breaks the taboo on severing Europe's energy ties with Russia. It's also certain to fuel already record high inflation. But compared with natural gas and oil, coal is by far the easiest to cut off quickly and inflicts far less damage on Russian President Vladimir Putin's war chest and the European economy. The EU pays Russia $20 million a day for coal, but $850 million a day for oil and gas. We're going to take a short...
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's a continuation of today's top stories. Small businesses still have the pandemic and now high inflation to grapple with, and they're finding it tough to get a loan to help with the daily grind. A recently released survey from the Federal Reserve shows how the pandemic has altered the financial landscape for small businesses. About 85% experienced financial difficulties in 2021, up nearly 20 percentage points from 2019. Back then, more than half of owners who sought a loan were looking to expand. Last year, the majority of applicants needed funds just to cover everyday operating expenses. Meanwhile, inflation is the highest in decades, with raw materials and finished goods soaring in price and workers demanding higher wages. The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates in response, which means the cost of borrowing money is going up. Next news. Ozark will drop its final 7 episodes of the series April 29th, wrapping up the story of a couple played by Jason Bateman and Laura Linney, Marty and Wendy Bird, whose family moves to Missouri and descends deeper and deeper into a life of money laundering, drugs, and murder. Tom Pelfrey, who plays Ben, is no longer on the show, but his character has made a lasting imprint. Pelfrey's character was introduced in season 3 as Wendy's brother, a tortured soul with a heart of gold. Ben had bipolar disorder and stopped taking his medication. His resulting erratic behavior threatening the bird's underbelly operation. Spoiler alert! In the season 3 finale, Wendy left Ben in the path of a hitman, and the show has operated since as though the character is dead. Although the fans hope it's not true, Ben looms large over the remaining Ozark story. Next news. LeBron James ends weeks of speculation over his future by announcing his decision on an ESPN special that he's decided to leave the Cleveland Cavaliers and his home state of Ohio after 7 years to join Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh at the Miami Heat, seeking his first championship. James said he was taking his talents to South Beach. The Associated Press is republishing verbatim the story of James's announcement on July 9th, 2010. Next news. His picture is still on the wall of champions in the press building at Augusta National, sandwiched between Trevor Immelman and Philip Mickelson. His chair at the champions' dinner Tuesday night was empty, though, and if there was an invite to play the Masters this year, no one saw it. As the Masters unfolds this week, Angel Cabrera sits in an Argentine prison. He's serving 2 years for domestic abuse, and there's a chance he could face an even longer sentence. The glory of 2009 never seemed so far away. In quotes. A lot of kids grow up without a role model and make some bad decisions. Their anger within them takes over. End quotes. Said Charlie Epps, a Houston golf pro who has a father-son relationship with Cabrera. In quotes. But it doesn't justify doing the wrong thing. End quotes. Cabrera was an unlikely champion to begin with, a street urchin who grew up without parents and never had a formal education. A huge crowd greeted him when he flew home after winning the 2007 U.S. Open, and there was a parade in his honor. This has been the daily global English news update of Millennium News TV 24/7. Thank you for watching us. Please log in to get the latest news on all our social networking sites. That means Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. On TikTok, we are Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel, gotta check it out. News Channel M24. Viewers now on both network broadcasting, Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. Also, all smart TV platforms. Check out our apps, Millennium TV USA, Android as well. Millennium News Google. Google us. www.millenniumtv24.com. Please stay with Millennium News 24/7. We thank you. Peace.